All right, good afternoon. My name is Pat Deal. I'm from Arlington, Massachusetts, and I wanted to talk a little bit about two of the female ancestors that came from Ireland that I have a bit of information about. And one of them would be my second great-grandmother, who came from County Laois, which was then Queens. Supposedly her father owned a sheep farm, and my second great-grandfather married her. He worked at the farm and married her, which did not please her father, but they were together. They had 4 or 5 children in Ireland, and then in 1943 he came over to New Brunswick, and then the family followed with his brother, actually, kind of as an escort. So the 2 adults and my second great-grandmother and all the children came in 1944. And they lived in New Brunswick for quite a while. But at some point, my great-grandfather came down into Maine, and he was the one that, that family was descended, that I'm descended from, was all in Maine. But the family name was Hines, Hynes, although the fellow that came to Maine spelled it with an I. Her name supposedly was, my second great-grandmother, was a Burke. I've seen it spelled B-U-R-K-E or B-O-U-R-K-E. And her mother supposedly was an O'Neill and had died when she was young. So by 1844 in Laois, I'm not sure what the conditions were, but I think they were probably not good, and they made the choice to get out, to go. And they had quite a life. She lived to be until 1905 in New Brunswick. So that's pretty much her story. There's relatives still up there, and I've not connected with them with that name. And the second story that I know a little bit more about would be my grandmother. Her name was Ellen Green. She lived in the southern tip of Roscommon, the parish of Moore, in a town called Old Town Kilcastle. Her father was kind of late in marriage when he married. He was probably well into his 50s by the time he married his wife, and they had 4 children. So by the 1890s, both of them had passed away, leaving 4 teenage children. And my grandmother was the first to come over in 1895, and then her 2 brothers and her sister came over, who were older than her, but they came over later. We've been back to that town and seen it. I have a feeling we're related to several of the gentlemen in particular that we've met in that area. I think probably one for sure was a 3rd cousin on the farm, because the folks there tell the same stories. But she came as many people as a domestic, and then married my grandfather, who was a teamster down from Maine. So that's primarily my stories. She did not experience the famine, but by being in, herself and her sister and 2 brothers being literally orphaned when they were in their teen years, it was a challenge. Somebody had to come over, and some action had to be taken, and so she was the one that did that and paved the way, even though she was the youngest. Yeah. And all right, well, thank you.